Most Americans aren't struggling because they're lazy. They're struggling because nobody ever taught them how money actually works. Right now, millions of people across America are working harder than ever, yet still living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in credit card debt, stressed about inflation, subscriptions, rent, car payments, and one unexpected emergency that could destroy everything financially. And the scary part? Most people don't even realize how these financial traps are quietly controlling their lives every single month. In this video, we're breaking down 7 real financial problems destroying the American middle class right now. From passive income myths and debt addiction to inflation, side hustle burnout, emergency expenses, and the hidden spending habits keeping people broke. No fake motivation, no unrealistic get-rich-quick nonsense. Just real financial truths most people learn too late. Watch until the end, because one of these topics could completely change the way you think about money forever. Number 1. The passive income lie most Americans learn too late. A lot of Americans hear the words passive income and immediately imagine easy money, fast success, and freedom without effort. Social media made it look like money just appears overnight once you start a side hustle, buy a stock, or upload a few videos online. But real life in the USA doesn't work that way. Most people are already financially overwhelmed before they even think about passive income. Rent keeps increasing, groceries cost more every month, credit card debt is out of control, and many workers are living paycheck to paycheck even with full-time jobs. That's why the idea of easy money becomes so attractive. The truth is, real passive income usually starts with sacrifice first. People either invest time, money, or skills up front before they ever see results later. That's the part many creators online leave out. They show the reward, but not the years of work, stress, mistakes, and consistency behind it. For example, YouTube ad revenue can eventually become semi-passive, but most creators spend months uploading videos with almost no views. Some people quit after 3 weeks because they expected instant income. The same thing happens with affiliate marketing, investing, online businesses, and digital products. The beginning usually feels slow, frustrating, and uncertain.
Another major problem in America is that schools rarely teach practical financial survival skills. Students graduate understanding algebra formulas, but not credit scores, taxes, budgeting, investing, or how interest actually works against them. Because of that, many adults enter their 20s completely unprepared financially. That financial confusion creates stress in relationships, mental health problems, and constant anxiety about bills. Many Americans aren't lazy, they simply never learned how money systems actually work. Real financial freedom is usually built through small, smart decisions repeated consistently over time. It's not about becoming rich overnight. It's about slowly creating income streams that reduce financial pressure little by little. And honestly, one extra $300 to $500 per month can completely change someone's situation in the United States right now. That could cover groceries, car insurance, internet bills, minimum debt payments, or emergency expenses without relying on another credit card. The people who eventually succeed financially usually stop chasing shortcuts and start focusing on systems that grow steadily over time. That mindset shift is what changes everything. One of the biggest financial mistakes Americans make is believing they need a perfect business idea before starting anything. In reality, most successful income streams begin small, messy, and imperfect. A lot of people working regular jobs already have skills they underestimate. Some are good at explaining things, reviewing products, editing videos, fixing electronics, organizing information, or helping others solve problems. Those simple skills can eventually become income-producing assets online. The reason YouTube, affiliate marketing, and digital businesses work for some people is because content keeps working after it's posted. A single useful video, article, or product review can continue generating views months or even years later. That's very different from hourly jobs, where income completely stops the moment work stops. But another reality nobody talks about enough is burnout. Many Americans try to build side income while already exhausted from full-time jobs, commuting, family responsibilities, and rising living costs. That's why consistency matters more than motivation. Most people fail because they expect fast results instead of treating it like a long-term process. There's also a dangerous trend online where creators push expensive courses, unrealistic lifestyles, and fake financial success just to sell hope. A lot of young Americans end up wasting money chasing overnight freedom instead of building real financial habits slowly. In many cases, boring financial habits create more stability than flashy business ideas. Saving consistently, reducing unnecessary debt, building emergency funds, investing regularly, and increasing skills often matter more than trying to become rich instantly.
Another important lesson is that passive income is rarely fully passive forever. Online income changes constantly. Algorithms change, markets shift, trends die. That's why smart people continue learning and adapting instead of depending on only one income source. In today's economy, having just one paycheck is becoming riskier for many American households. Layoffs, inflation, medical bills, and debt can destroy financial stability very quickly. Multiple income streams are no longer just a luxury for many families, they're becoming a form of protection. The people who usually win financially are not always the smartest people. Often, they're simply the people who stayed patient long enough to let small efforts compound over time. And that's the part most social media videos never show. Real financial growth usually looks slow before it looks successful.
Friends, if you've learned something from this video so far, give it a like, share your opinion in the comments, and subscribe to stay with us.
Number 2. Credit card debt is quietly destroying the American middle class. Across the United States, millions of people have full-time jobs but still feel financially trapped every single month. One major reason is credit card debt. For many Americans, credit cards stopped being a convenience and became a survival tool. People use them for groceries, gas, medical bills, rent, food delivery, and emergencies because their paychecks no longer fully cover basic living costs. At first, the balance looks manageable, maybe a few $100s. Then, interest starts building quietly in the background. Minimum payments feel small, so people keep spending while the debt grows faster than they realize. This is where the real trap begins. A lot of Americans think they're making progress because they never miss payments, but many are only paying interest, not reducing the actual balance in a meaningful way. Some people spend years trapped in the same debt cycle without noticing how much money they're losing to interest alone. Social media also made the problem worse. People constantly compare themselves to others online. Expensive vacations, luxury apartments, designer clothes, new cars. It creates pressure to look successful, even when finances are unstable behind the scenes. Many consumers end up financing lifestyles they cannot truly afford.
Another serious issue is impulse spending. Online shopping apps, one-click payments, buy now, pay later systems, and constant advertising make spending feel emotionally rewarding in the moment. But later, people open their banking apps and feel immediate stress seeing multiple balances due at once. Financial stress has become normal in many American households. Couples argue over money constantly. Workers stay in jobs they hate because debt removed their flexibility. Some people avoid checking their bank accounts altogether because they already know the situation is bad. The dangerous part is that debt steals future income. Every dollar going toward high interest payments is money that cannot be invested, saved, or used to build stability later. That's why many financially successful people focus less on looking rich and more on protecting cash flow. They understand that controlling debt is often more important than increasing income in the beginning. Because making more money helps temporarily, but controlling spending habits changes everything long-term. One of the biggest misconceptions in America is believing financial problems only happen to low-income people. In reality, Many middle-class families earning good salaries are still struggling because of poor financial habits repeated consistently over time. Credit cards make overspending feel invisible. When people use physical cash, they feel the money leaving their hands. But digital spending removes that emotional reaction. Swiping a card for food delivery, subscriptions, streaming services, or random online purchases feels small in the moment. Then suddenly hundreds or thousands of dollars disappear every month without people fully realizing where it went. Another growing problem is normalization of debt. Many Americans now see debt as a permanent part of life instead of a temporary financial tool. Car loans, personal loans, student loans, credit cards, financing plans. Some people are managing 5 or 6 monthly payments at the same time. Eventually, most of their paycheck is already committed before the month even begins. That creates constant pressure. Unexpected expenses become financial emergencies immediately. A medical bill, car repair, or job loss can completely destabilize someone already carrying heavy debt. A lot of people also underestimate how emotionally exhausting financial stress becomes over time. Constant anxiety about bills affects sleep, focus, relationships, productivity, and mental health. Some workers stay burned out for years because they feel financially stuck with no way out. The difficult truth is that many Americans don't actually need a massive income increase first. They need stronger financial awareness. Tracking spending alone can completely change behavior. When people finally see how much money disappears into food delivery apps, unused subscriptions, impulse shopping, and interest payments, they often realize the issue was hidden spending leaks all along. Financial discipline is rarely exciting online, but it's usually what creates real stability. Building savings, reducing unnecessary expenses, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and paying down high-interest debt may not look impressive on social media. Those habits slowly create freedom most people never reach, and that's the real difference. Many financially stable people aren't necessarily earning extraordinary money. They simply learned how to stop losing money unnecessarily every single month. Number 3. Why most Americans never escape paycheck-to-paycheck living. Living paycheck to paycheck has become normal across the United States, even for people working full-time jobs. Many Americans wake up stressed before the day even begins because one unexpected expense could completely destroy their monthly budget. The biggest problem is that income has not kept up with the actual cost of living. Rent prices increased, groceries became more expensive, insurance costs rose, car payments grew larger. Even basic necessities now feel financially heavy for average workers. Many people are working harder than ever while feeling like they're falling further behind every year. This creates survival mode. When someone is constantly trying to make it to the next paycheck, long-term financial planning becomes almost impossible. People stop thinking about investing, saving, or building future stability because they're focused only on immediate bills. That's exactly why so many Americans stay financially stuck for years. Another issue is the emotional exhaustion caused by constant financial pressure. Workers come home tired, mentally drained, and overwhelmed. After long, stressful shifts, many people use spending as emotional relief. Ordering food, shopping online, or financing something new temporarily feels rewarding, even when it creates bigger problems later. The cycle quietly repeats every month. A major reason this problem keeps growing is because many people never learned how to build financial margin. Every dollar gets assigned immediately to bills, debt, or lifestyle expenses, so even small emergencies become crises. For example, a flat tire, medical copay, or broken appliance can instantly force someone back onto credit cards. That's why emergency savings matter more than most people realize. It's not just about money, it's about reducing panic. Even a small emergency fund creates breathing room that helps people avoid deeper debt.
Another financial trap hurting Americans is subscription culture. Streaming services, monthly apps, memberships, financed electronics, and recurring payments slowly drain income without people paying attention. Individually, they seem small, but combined together, they quietly destroy cash flow. Financial freedom usually doesn't start with earning millions. It often starts with understanding where money is actually going every month and fixing the leaks before trying to dramatically increase income. Because if someone cannot control $3,000 per month, making $6,000 per month may only create bigger spending habits instead of real financial progress. One of the most damaging financial pressures in America today is the need to appear successful. Social media constantly pushes the idea that expensive lifestyles equal happiness, status, or achievement. Nice cars, luxury apartments, designer clothes, vacations, and expensive restaurants are now treated like normal everyday goals. But behind many of those lifestyles is hidden financial stress most people never see. A large number of Americans are financing appearances. Some people have car payments so high that they can barely afford groceries afterward. Others upgrade phones every year while carrying thousands in credit card debt. Many households look financially comfortable online while secretly living one missed paycheck away from serious problems. That pressure creates dangerous spending habits. Instead of building savings, people focus on maintaining an image. They feel embarrassed driving older cars, renting smaller apartments, or living below their means because society often rewards visible wealth more than financial responsibility. But financially stable people usually think differently. They care more about ownership than appearances, more about cash flow than status, more about freedom than impressing strangers online. Another hidden issue is that many workers never increase their financial knowledge after leaving school. They continue earning income for years without fully understanding taxes, investing, retirement accounts, compound growth, and debt management. That lack of financial education becomes extremely expensive over time. For example, many Americans keep large amounts of money sitting in low-interest checking accounts, while inflation slowly reduces its value every year. Others avoid investing completely because they think the stock market is only for wealthy people. Meanwhile, financially educated individuals quietly use high-yield savings accounts, retirement plans, dividend investments, and side income streams to slowly build long-term stability. The difference may look small in the beginning, but after 5 or 10 years, the financial gap becomes massive. Another important reality is that escaping paycheck-to-paycheck living rarely happens through motivation alone. It usually requires behavior changes. Budgeting consistently, reducing unnecessary debt, increasing skills, creating extra income streams, and avoiding lifestyle inflation all matter more than temporary motivation videos online. Financial progress often feels boring at first because real improvement is usually slow, but slow progress still changes lives. And for many Americans today, reducing financial stress is far more valuable than trying to look rich to people who are struggling too. Number 4, the subscription economy is quietly draining American bank accounts. One of the most overlooked financial problems in the United States today is subscription overload. Most Americans don't lose money all at once. They lose it slowly through automatic monthly charges they barely notice anymore. Streaming services, music apps, food delivery memberships, cloud storage, gym memberships, gaming subscriptions, premium phone apps, online shopping memberships, and finance devices all seem affordable individually, but combined together, they quietly consume hundreds of dollars every month. That's exactly why this problem becomes dangerous. A lot of people no longer manually pay for things. Payments happen automatically in the background, so consumers stop emotionally feeling the spending. The money disappears silently from their accounts week after week. Many Americans don't even realize how many active subscriptions they currently have. Some continue paying for services they stopped using months ago, simply because canceling feels inconvenient. Companies understand this behavior extremely well. That's why signing up is always fast and easy, while canceling often takes multiple steps. The financial impact becomes serious over time.
For example, someone spending an extra $250 monthly on subscriptions and convenience services is losing $3,000 every year. That money could cover emergency savings, reduce debt, pay insurance bills, or be invested for future stability. Convenience culture also made overspending easier than ever.
Food delivery apps are a perfect example. Many Americans now spend dramatically more on restaurant delivery because it saves time and feels emotionally comforting after stressful workdays. But after delivery fees, taxes, tips, and inflated menu prices, one meal can easily cost double the original amount. Repeated consistently, those habits quietly damage long-term finances. Another major issue is emotional spending tied to stress and exhaustion. People often subscribe to entertainment, shopping services, or luxury conveniences not because they truly need them, but because they're mentally overwhelmed and searching for small moments of relief. That's why financial awareness matters more than many people realize. Small leaks repeated monthly can become bigger than major one-time expenses. And in many cases, Americans struggling financially are not only dealing with low income, they're also dealing with invisible spending systems, constantly pulling money from their accounts without enough attention.
Modern American life is built around convenience. Almost everything today is designed to save time, reduce effort, or deliver instant satisfaction. But the problem is that convenience usually costs far more than people realize long-term. Many consumers now pay monthly for things previous generations rarely spent money on. People subscribe to meal deliveries instead of cooking, finance smartphones instead of keeping older devices, pay for multiple streaming platforms simultaneously, and use same-day delivery services for products they don't urgently need. Individually, each expense feels harmless. Together, they slowly weaken financial stability. The dangerous part is psychological. Once a convenience becomes part of someone's routine, it stops feeling optional. People begin treating luxuries like necessities. Canceling subscriptions or reducing spending suddenly feels like losing something, even if those services were never essential in the first place. This is one reason many Americans struggle to save money consistently. Even workers earning decent salaries often have so many recurring expenses that very little cash remains at the end of the month. Automatic payments quietly consume future income before people even notice it entering their accounts. Another issue is that convenience spending often increases during stressful periods. After exhausting workdays, many people choose comfort over financial discipline. Ordering takeout feels easier than grocery shopping. Watching paid entertainment feels like an escape from anxiety. Shopping online creates temporary excitement during emotionally difficult moments. Companies heavily profit from these behaviors. Apps are specifically designed to encourage fast spending with minimal friction. One-click payments, saved card information, instant financing options, and non-stop notifications all make spending feel effortless. But financial recovery requires awareness. A lot of Americans could reduce major financial pressure simply by reviewing recurring expenses honestly for 1 month. Many would discover they're paying for services they barely use, duplicate subscriptions, or convenience habits that no longer justify the cost. Financial freedom is rarely destroyed by one catastrophic purchase. More often, it disappears slowly through dozens of small monthly decisions repeated without attention. That's why financially disciplined people usually focus on controlling recurring expenses first, because reducing permanent monthly costs creates long-term breathing room. And breathing room is something millions of Americans desperately need right now.
Number 5. Why inflation feels worse than most Americans expected. For many Americans, inflation no longer feels like an economic headline. It feels personal. People notice it every time they buy groceries, pay rent, fill up their gas tank, or open utility bills at the end of the month. The problem is not just that prices increased, it's that wages in many industries did not increase fast enough to match the rising cost of everyday living. As a result, millions of workers feel like they're earning the same money while surviving in a much more expensive country. That creates constant financial pressure. Basic necessities that once felt manageable now force families to make difficult choices. Some households cut back on groceries, others delay medical appointments, avoid saving money, or rely more heavily on credit cards simply to maintain normal living standards. Middle-class Americans are feeling this especially hard. Many people who previously felt financially stable are now struggling with expenses they never worried about before. Insurance premiums increased, restaurant prices jumped, housing costs exploded in many cities, and even fast food became surprisingly expensive for average workers. Another issue inflation created is emotional fatigue. People work long hours but still feel financially stuck. That frustration causes many Americans to lose motivation because despite working harder, financial progress feels slower than ever.
Some workers responded by taking second jobs, driving for delivery apps, freelancing online, or trying to build side income streams just to regain breathing room financially. But another hidden danger is lifestyle denial. A lot of people continue spending as if prices never changed. Instead of adjusting budgets realistically, they rely on debt to maintain previous lifestyles. Over time, that creates even deeper financial stress because inflation combined with high-interest debt becomes extremely difficult to manage. This is why financial flexibility matters so much now. Americans with emergency savings, lower debt, and multiple income sources are handling inflation more effectively than those relying entirely on one paycheck. Inflation also exposed how fragile many household finances already were before prices increased. A large number of Americans had very little savings long before economic pressure intensified. That's why financial security today is less about appearing wealthy and more about building resilience, the ability to survive unexpected financial pressure without immediately falling into panic or debt.
Inflation isn't only changing prices, it's changing how Americans live, spend, and think about money every day. Many families who once spent comfortably are now tracking grocery costs closely, canceling unnecessary purchases, and delaying major life decisions because financial uncertainty feels much higher than before. People are becoming more cautious. Some Americans stopped eating out as often because restaurant prices increased dramatically after taxes, service fees, and tips. Others are postponing vacations, avoiding large purchases, or moving to cheaper areas to reduce housing costs. Housing became one of the biggest financial pressures in the country. Rent increases forced many people to move back in with family members, share apartments with roommates longer than expected, or relocate entirely to more affordable states. Even individuals with decent incomes are struggling to keep up with housing expenses in many major cities. Another growing issue is transportation costs. Car prices, insurance, repairs, and fuel expenses all became heavier burdens. Many Americans are now trapped in large auto loans signed during periods of high vehicle prices, leaving them with monthly payments that damage their ability to save or invest. At the same time, companies continue encouraging consumer spending everywhere people look. Advertisements constantly push upgrades, financing plans, subscriptions, and luxury lifestyles, even while millions of households are already financially stretched. This creates emotional pressure to keep consuming despite economic reality becoming harder.
That disconnect frustrates many workers. People feel like they are doing everything correctly, working full-time, paying bills, staying responsible, yet still falling behind financially. For younger generations especially, buying homes or building significant savings now feels much harder than it did for previous generations. Because of this, more Americans are starting to focus on financial independence instead of traditional career paths alone. Side businesses, online income streams, investing, freelancing, content creation, and remote work opportunities became far more attractive after people realized how unstable depending on one income source can be during difficult economic periods. Another important shift is that many consumers are finally paying closer attention to financial education. People want to understand budgeting, investing, debt reduction, and cash flow because survival became more connected to financial knowledge than ever before. And honestly, that awareness may become one of the few positive outcomes from rising financial pressure in America. Because once people truly understand how money works, they often stop making decisions purely based on appearance, emotion, or short-term comfort and start building for long-term stability instead.
Number 6. Why side hustle burnout is becoming a serious problem in America. Across the United States, more people than ever are trying to build extra income outside of their regular jobs. Driving for delivery apps, freelancing online, selling products, creating content, investing, reselling items, or working second jobs has become extremely common. For many Americans, side hustles are no longer optional. They became necessary because one paycheck often isn't enough anymore. Rising rent, debt payments, inflation, and everyday living expenses pushed millions of workers to search for additional income just to stay financially stable. But another problem quietly started growing at the same time: burnout. A lot of people are now working all day at regular jobs and then spending nights and weekends trying to build extra income. Eventually, exhaustion starts affecting sleep, focus, health, and relationships. Social media made this pressure even worse. People constantly see entrepreneurs, influencers, and creators talking about grinding 24/7 or becoming financially successful at a young age. That content creates unrealistic expectations, making ordinary workers feel like they're failing if they're not constantly monetizing every free hour of their lives. The reality is far less glamorous. Most side hustles take much longer to become profitable than people expect. Some generate almost no income in the beginning. Others require months or years of consistency before meaningful results appear. That discourages many people quickly. Another issue is that some Americans start too many ideas at once. They jump between dropshipping, YouTube, crypto trading, affiliate marketing, online courses, investing, and reselling without focusing deeply on one skill long enough to improve. As a result, they stay busy but never build real momentum.
Financial pressure also causes emotional decision-making. Some people chase easy money opportunities because they feel desperate to escape debt or paycheck-to-paycheck living fast. Unfortunately, desperation often leads people towards scams, risky investments, or unrealistic promises online. The truth is that sustainable financial growth usually looks boring at first. It often comes from improving useful skills, staying consistent, controlling expenses, and slowly building systems that grow over time instead of chasing fast success. And honestly, many Americans don't necessarily need 5 different side hustles. Sometimes they simply need one reliable extra income stream combined with better financial habits and lower unnecessary spending. That combination alone can dramatically reduce stress over time.
Many Americans begin side hustles hoping to create freedom, but over time, some accidentally create a lifestyle where they never truly rest anymore. Working a full-time job during the day and building extra income late at night may help financially in the short term, but constantly operating under pressure can become mentally exhausting. Some people are so focused on escaping financial stress that they slowly sacrifice their health, relationships, and peace of mind in the process. This is where balance becomes important. A lot of social media content promotes non-stop hustle culture, as if sleep, breaks, or personal time are signs of weakness. But in reality, burnout destroys consistency, and consistency is what actually builds long-term success. Another major problem is unrealistic comparison. People see online creators showing luxury lifestyles, huge revenue screenshots, or overnight success stories, without seeing the years of failure, debt, mistakes, or invisible support behind those results. That creates frustration for ordinary workers who are making slow but real progress financially. Slow progress still matters. For example, someone paying off debt steadily, building emergency savings, learning investing, and earning an extra few $100s monthly from a side income stream is already improving their future significantly, even if it doesn't look impressive online.
Another mistake many Americans make is turning every hobby into work immediately. Sometimes people lose motivation because they monetize passions too aggressively before building stability. A side hustle should ideally improve life gradually, not make every moment feel financially transactional. Financial freedom also requires sustainability. The goal is not just making extra money temporarily. The real goal is creating systems that eventually reduce stress instead of increasing it forever. That's why smart income streams matter more than endless working hours. Many financially successful people eventually focus on leverage instead of pure labor. Investments, digital products, content libraries, dividend income, or businesses that continue generating revenue after the initial effort become more valuable long-term than constantly trading time for money. At the same time, discipline still matters. No side hustle can permanently fix reckless spending habits, uncontrolled debt, or lifestyle inflation. Real financial improvement usually happens when income growth and financial discipline develop together. And honestly, most Americans are not searching for private jets or mansions. They simply want stability, the ability to pay bills without panic, handle emergencies without debt, sleep without financial anxiety, and enjoy life without constantly feeling behind. For many people, that kind of freedom is already life-changing.
If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe right now because more powerful finance tips are coming ahead.
Number 7. Why emergency expenses keep financially destroying American families. One of the harshest financial realities in the United States is how quickly life can become unstable after one unexpected expense. For many Americans, finances are already stretched so tightly that even a relatively small emergency can create serious problems. A car repair, medical bill, broken appliance, emergency travel, or sudden job loss can immediately push households into debt. That's because millions of people are living with almost no financial cushion. A lot of workers appear financially stable on the outside, but behind the scenes, their bank accounts are nearly empty after monthly bills are paid. Rent, groceries, insurance, transportation, debt payments, and childcare costs consume most of their income before they ever have a chance to save. This creates constant vulnerability. When emergencies happen, many families have only two choices: use credit cards or borrow money. Unfortunately, high-interest debt often turns temporary setbacks into long-term financial damage. Medical costs are one of the biggest examples. Even insured Americans sometimes face large out-of-pocket expenses that create immediate financial stress. Many people delay doctor visits, avoid treatment, or ignore health problems simply because they're worried about the bill afterward. Vehicle problems create similar pressure. In much of America, having a car is not optional. People need reliable transportation to get to work, take children to school, or handle daily responsibilities. So when a transmission fails or repair costs suddenly appear, workers often feel trapped financially because losing transportation could also threaten their income. Another hidden issue is the emotional effect of financial emergencies. Constantly fearing unexpected expenses creates anxiety even during normal months. Many Americans feel like they can never fully relax because they know one bad situation could completely disrupt their finances. That stress changes behavior over time. Some workers stay in toxic jobs purely because they cannot risk instability. Others avoid taking career opportunities, moving cities, or starting businesses because they lack emergency savings strong enough to handle uncertainty safely. This is why emergency funds matter so much. They're not about becoming rich, they're about creating protection. Even a few months of savings can dramatically reduce panic and help people make calmer financial decisions during difficult situations. And honestly, for many Americans today, peace of mind has become just as valuable as income itself. Many Americans believe financial stability requires becoming wealthy, but in reality, most people are simply trying to reach a point where unexpected problems no longer create panic. That's the real goal. The reason emergency expenses feel so devastating is because many households are already financially exhausted before emergencies even happen. Rising living costs, debt payments, inflation, and unstable income leave little room to recover when something goes wrong. A lot of people are surviving, not building. They focus entirely on immediate bills while postponing savings until later. But later often never arrives because new expenses continue appearing constantly. Over time, this creates a cycle where emergencies repeatedly push families backward financially. Another major issue is lack of preparation. Many Americans know emergency savings are important, but emotionally, it's difficult to prioritize savings when daily life already feels expensive. People naturally focus on current pressure first, even if that means future risk grows larger. This becomes dangerous during economic uncertainty. Layoffs, reduced work hours, rising healthcare costs, or unexpected inflation can quickly expose how fragile personal finances really are. Workers who depended completely on steady income suddenly realize how vulnerable they were all along. That realization changed how many Americans think about money after recent economic instability. More people now understand the importance of building multiple income streams, reducing unnecessary debt, improving financial literacy, and creating stronger savings habits, not because they want luxury lifestyles, but because they want protection from uncertainty. Another important lesson many financially successful people understand is this: financial security is usually built slowly. Small, consistent habits matter more than dramatic short-term changes. Saving a little monthly, reducing recurring expenses, avoiding lifestyle inflation, paying down high-interest debt, and investing steadily may not feel exciting, but those habits create long-term stability over time. The people who eventually gain financial breathing room are often not the people showing off online the most. They are usually the ones quietly making disciplined decisions year after year while avoiding unnecessary financial chaos. And honestly, that's what many Americans are truly searching for now. Not extreme wealth, just enough stability to handle emergencies, enough savings to sleep peacefully, and enough financial control to stop feeling afraid every time life becomes unpredictable.
If you want to change your financial future, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment below with your next goal.